Hey guys, Luke here, and we are back. This is episode 12, I think. Let me just check. It is episode 12, and we are taking on the worst signings of the year. So we've done the best signings of the year. You can find that a few episodes before then. Go back and watch them. Yeah, so you can see my best signings. And now we're going to have a look at the worst signings. Now, before I get into it, I like to say, leave in the comments, who do you think is your, like, who would you say would be the worst sightings of the year, and do you agree with me with my picks? Obviously there's going to be some people who would say, well, why would you pick them, but at the same time, I'm looking for some, sometimes I'm just clutching at straws, just trying to fill out the team. But here we have it, the worst signings of the year. Let's get into it. So there's the lineup. I'll go through like the whole team. I'll go through the team as a whole. So we start off at fullback. We've got Ben Barber, Joel Reddy, Blake Ayshford, Maurice Blair, Eric Greth Jr., Lachlan Coote, Sam Williams, Martin Kennedy, Daniel Holdsworth, Lee Mossop, Jason Bukuya, Brennan Santee, Todd Lowry, Remy Casti, Clint Newton, Joe Picker, and Matt Pryor. Now start off with Barber. Now, we all know in previous episodes, like, Barber's been in a fair few of these videos, and I've displayed how I'm not a fan of Barber, but like, it's not just me. I've been onto some Broncos forums and stuff. I forget what it's called, but you search in Broncos forum and it'll come up. And then I've seen them like complain like weeks into the comp. They're saying, "Oh, he'll come good." Like, this is like when he first signed. I remember they were saying he's going to be like the savior, and he's going to be the best thing ever. And it's quite funny now to see like what he's turned out to be for them. What a foul that was. Meant to kick long, but I didn't hold in the L2 before I pressed it, so that's stuffed up. Good tackle there, but Eastwood. Yeah, so like they've been like wanting him to be dropped and everything. It's just disappointing here for Barber, but I'm happy about it. Yeah, so Barber is the fullback, and I think even in like a fan poll on Daily Telegraph or something, he got worst signing of the year. If I had that, I would have used that as like a reference to some of these players, try and find some good players. But yeah, so we go to Joel Reddy, who signed from the Tigers, and he hasn't, it might be a harsh one because I mean, I don't think he's ever expected to come in and set the world on fire, but he hasn't really done much this year. Was that a knock on pass? It was a knock. Wow, I thought they went backwards. We'll do well here to defend this set. Good tackle there by Hainsey. Yeah, so yeah, Joel Reddy, I don't know, they've played him on the wing and stuff, but he's not a winger. People have been trying to make him a winger, but he's not. Good tackle here. Strong tackle. Martin Kennedy, not going to score. So held up. Yeah, Joel Reddy, he's a centre. I thought he was decent centre at the Eels. He's a good defensive centre. Oh, and Thurston. Intercept here. We should brace away and score here if everything goes to plan. Looks like we will. Yeah, Reddy just not a great player, but yeah, a signing I don't really understand why Rabbitohs would go for, but they did, and he's playing in reserve grade. Then we move on to the centre spot with Blake Ayshford. Now, he's arguably one of the worst signings of the year. Now, I don't remember him being a terrible player at the Tigers. I don't remember him being a superstar player or like anything like that. I thought Lawrence was always the better out of the two, but obviously Lawrence is going to shit now. But Ayshford was a good, decent player who I thought would be in their first grade side for a long time. He moved to the Sharks for big money. And Sharks, they get rid of Pomeroy and they bring in Ayshford, who's equally as bad. Like, come on, really? Well, Ayshford's probably the worst, actually, out of the two. He can't defend, doesn't offer anything into attack, just, oh, he's shocking hands, everything. Maybe in general he's alright. Uh-oh. Oh, he nearly scores there. Good tackle by Tompkins. The thing is, like, I saw him playing the second row, and these, like, the last few weeks he's been alright, but overall, just a terrible signing. Then we move on to Maurice Blair at number 4. He signed from the Storm. He'd been in the Storm's side pretty much consistently throughout the last few years since he's been there. And then he moves to Titans. I don't know what sort of money. I think they were lacking a centre. If they kept Idris, he probably would have been like a good signing, but I don't know. He's barely even in the side. They would rather play Takarangi there and stuff like that, and I can't believe we just conceded that try. Terrible try. Jason Bukuya, it is. But yeah, Maurice Blair, I just don't get the whole thing. Maybe the coach just isn't a good coach, but we all know that Bellamy has a tendency to make players look a lot better, and centers, look at Nielsen, it's a perfect example. But yeah, Maurice Blair, I thought he'd be a good signing for the Titans, whether he was playing at the center or 5'8", or wherever he was going to play, but looks like he doesn't play at all, really. Big hit by Inglis. So then we move on to the 5'8", which is Lachlan Coote. They might be saying, oh, but that's been unfair, he's been injured all season. That's my point. He's an injury-prone player, and he got injured in the nines, and he's been out for the whole season. Thankfully for them, they weren't really affected by it too much, because, what's his name, Michael Morgan, has set the world on fire this year. Been a great player. And yeah, they got a bit lucky there, but overall, they paid big money for him. He was the replacement for Matt Bowen, sorry for doing that. So, a little bit of a phlegmy voice. Wasn't that great. So yeah, they got away with it, but overall just a terrible signing, and I don't know what they'll think and get rid of Bowen for him. How is that not forward? Wow, that's quite funny. I was supposed to go to James Graham with a little inside pass. Good work there by Jammer. And Radradra can't run over him. What's going on here? Go with Smith here, and we score. What a try, Cameron Smith. So that brings us to the halfback, which is Sam Williams. I mean, it says it all really that after a few games, well, he didn't even start the season. He looked shit in the Charity Shield, and he signed with big money for Dragons too, from the Raiders. So Charity Shield, he looked shit. They started off with Michael Witt. Michael Witt played okay. Michael Witt gets injured. Sam Williams comes in, plays shit. They go and sign Benji Marshall, and then eventually Sam Williams was playing shit in reserve grade still, and then he went overseas. They released him, he went overseas. I believe he's coming back to the Raiders, but I don't see much of a future for him, unfortunately, because at one stage it did look like he was going to be an above average player. I saw Bulldogs were chasing him, and I was like, oh, he'd be okay, but don't pay big money for him, and I think I'm just glad we stuck with Hodkinson. So that moves us on to the props. We're going to start, well, we'll go through like the numbers, so we won't do all the props, we'll do one prop here, and that's Martin Kennedy. Now also here's another one. You look at Broncos supporters on their like fan sites and forums, whatever. Here's another one like Barber that they all want to be dropped. So many errors in him and just shit. Doesn't look like he wants to try. All that sort of stuff is things that get put to him. And it's half time, 12-6 we win, or we're winning I should say. Yeah, just I don't know what he's about Kennedy. He was on big money at the Roosters, and he got dropped at the Roosters, I believe, last year. And then he signed big money with the Broncos. And you thought, like when you think about it, it's like, well, he got dropped from the Roosters. Why would he sign big money at somewhere else? But I think he got injured last year, so in the end he just couldn't get back into the side. So I suppose they were thinking that it wasn't because he was bad and because he was injured. But maybe it was that he just wasn't good enough to make it back in the side once he was recovered, which I tend to agree with. They had some pretty good forwards, and this year he's shown that he's not that great of a player. Well, at least at the Broncos he isn't. We'll then move on to the hooker, which is it's a debatable one. I think we ended up putting Daniel Holdsworth there. It's more debatable because there's how many hookers signed places. The only hooker who really switched clubs was Nathan Peets, and he's been outstanding. I suppose De Gois as well, and he was also good as well. The rest have all been the same as far as I can remember. Like Seguiara was there last year, everybody. Yeah, so we've gone with Daniel Holdsworth. Honourable mention to Michael Dobson, who has like everybody playing ahead of him. Every time Kurt Gidley's back, he gets dropped. Yeah, just not a great player, Michael Dobson. But he's probably an okay for Super League. I think he's gone back to Super League. Might fit their system a little bit better. Not saying the Super League's bad, I'm just saying they have a different style of play. And then we move... Oh, sorry, we're not going to move. We'll talk about Daniel Holdsworth. Now, he came in. Jeff Robson was injured at the start of the year with Todd Carney. And I was thinking, you know what? Maybe Holdsworth has improved from his Bulldog days. Because, on his day, he was a pretty good player. But I felt like pressure got to him. And I thought with Todd Carney there, he'd be alright. But Todd Carney needed Jeff Robson. Yeah, so improved in the first few rounds. Holdsworth was pretty shocking. Carney wasn't that great either. Sharks in general weren't very great, but Holdsworth didn't really control them very much, and just hasn't been a good signing overall. He's found himself playing reserve grade more. I suppose he was only signed as a sort of a depth player anyways, but I thought he could have cemented the spot. He hasn't, and yeah, I guess we could have put some other people like Michael Witt there, who found himself injured for most of the year, but I think he's been alright in the few games he's played. And he was only like a last minute signing anyways. So that moves us on to the prop, and it's another debatable one, but it's the same way of Lachlan Coote, who's been injured for most of the year. That's Lee Mossop. Now I think he's an England international. He's at the Eels. There's a good run by Burgess, gets us out of trouble there. Hopefully he can get a good kick away. Yeah, so Mossop, overall I think he's probably going to be a good player, but just this year. Yeah, just injuries. He started off with like an injury that he was in the preseason or the World Cup or something, and he was out for, I don't know, like 10 weeks or so, and then he comes back and he plays a few games and talks it up how Super League's more physical than NRL and all that, and then gets injured. And then he's out for the season. So for what they're paying him and for like the amount of hype, he hasn't really delivered much, and due to injury that was. I'll accept that, like, injuries happen, but that's why he's in the side. So yeah, come on, Sonny Bill. Was it Tony Williams? Can't remember. Looks like Tony 16. Uh-oh. Oh, thank God he stayed in. So that brings us on to the second rowers. Jason Kia is the first one. Now, he hasn't been, he hasn't been horrible, but, he's been in and out of the side at, the Warriors, and he can't cement himself a starting spot. They do have some pretty good second rowers, but I thought he was pretty decent at the Sharks, and I thought he was a good signing for them, and obviously not. He finds himself as 18th man lately, barring injuries and all that sort of stuff. I know he was sort of involved with the Asada thing, but he didn't get suspended, so that shouldn't have been a worry for him. So no excuses, but Keogh just hasn't been that good, honestly. So that's the reason he's in the side. Then move on to number 12, Brendan Santee. Now you might be thinking, who the F's this dude? Like, who the hell is this kid? And yeah, he is a kid. He made his debut for the Tigers a few weeks ago, but he actually signed with from the Tigers to the Parramatta Eels on a pretty decent coin, I believe, at the start of the year. And then he got stuck in reserve grade, couldn't get a spot in the side, and then he went back and played at the Tigers. So it just shows that like he must have been that good if they were willing to let him out of his contract after like half a year. Me personally, I thought he was going to get to play with the first grade, because I thought he looked pretty decent in the 20s, but 20s big step up. Then we got Todd Lowry, which is the last of the starters. Yeah, just another weird signing by the Broncos. Didn't really fit him in their side. He's like another dead stag, so why would you have two of them? So he pretty much plays reserve grade or comes off the bench and gets smashed. And it all, it resembled like the Sydney. I don't know what I'm trying to say. The telling point for his season was the first round where he got knocked out by Frank Pritchard. So we win 12-6. And I'll just finish up with the bench. We have Remy Castille, Clint Newton, Joe Picker, Matt Pryor. I'll just say Matt Pryor is probably one of the worst players I've ever seen. The fact that he even got a club is a success in itself. Joe Picker, kind of like Pryor, not very good. In the games I've seen him play for Rabbitohs, he's been shocking. Clint Newton, just been injured all year. Not really sure why Knight signed him, but they did. And then Remy Castille, signing by Robinson from Catalans Dragons. I thought he was going to get some more game time, but he barely got any, so bit of a strange one. Yeah, but if you enjoyed the episode, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more, and leave in the comments who you would say is the worst sightings of the year, and I'll see you for the next episode, which is, I'm not sure who we're going to be taking on, but it should be a good one. So I'll see you then, guys. Bye.